Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Write this down.
Yeah, so write that down Wednesday here
Write it down. You like writing things down.
on Purple Daily.
Write that down.
The only show in America that actually puts statistics next to our predictions. Career suicide every single Wednesday. How you guys doing? It's kind of the dead of the off season here. Not many things are coming off the board, but we are stacking up predictions for preseason and the season. How you guys feeling today?
Well, I'm feeling good because I feel like I can't get bit by a ton of things, especially on this one. So I'm feeling pretty good about this one.
Okay.
Holding.
All right. I'm feeling
Declan
all right.
took a really, it's the pressure on Declan. I mean, he
Yeah,
took
it's
a
off.
really big lead early on, a great draft season of predictions for Dex.
Yep.
Well over 55% completions. And I feel like now there's just pressure to not fall asleep like the Colts a couple of years ago in the second half.
That's right. Not going to be completely Jeff Saturday here. I think I'll have a little bit better of a game plan. We'll see. We'll certainly see as the write that down summer comes to an end.
Judd, you want to tell us about your friends at Quick Trip real quick before we dive into what this
You
is
mean
all
these
about?
people? You mean the? I'm popping the shirt.
Yes, we
You know
see
why?
that, yeah.
You know why? Because they're the greatest. And here's why. I'm on my phone right now, and I'm looking through my phone, and we want convenience, right? You're looking at all the great offerings at Quick Trip. We want convenience, and I'm going to tell you right now, the Quick Trip Order Ahead app is exactly that. You just go to the Rewards app, can take care of the payment ahead of time. Orders can be picked up in the store or brought to you curbside. That's right. It's that simple. Order all your Quick Trip favorites. We're talking fried chicken. We're talking pizza. We're talking those take-home meals that will make your life as simple as possible, and additional savings as well on fuel. Just check out the Quick Trip app, and you're going to be happy that you did, because Quick Trip's all about making your life simple.
Amen. Amen.
Write this down.
All right, so here's how this works. Every single week, we make predictions. We hold each other accountable. We track statistics on the show. If you're new, it's 3 football-related predictions or show-related. You can make a prediction about the show if you want to. It's 3 predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. We do the OG version of Write That Down on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd and the Score North YouTube channel. We keep track of a completion percentage and touchdowns. And listeners, if you want to be like Andrew and participate as a guest listener predictor, you can send Declan a message through the Score North app. Okay, let's start with Judd in the accountability session. Nothing came off the board for you. So in the absence of things coming off, let's highlight something still on the board for you. You said Kwesi will not be the Vikings general manager for the 2024 season. The end date being week 1. Once week 1 hits, this one has to come off the board.
Yeah, I'm going to have to hedge on this one now, because he clearly is going to be, and he has had what I've considered to be a very effective offseason, so I'm going to have to hedge this one very soon.
Hopefully negative.
To
Yeah, you
offset
made this one like
a while back. There were some
not really. It was like early. It was like at the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly. That's in the span of what's gone on here. That's quite some time ago. So let's just say that you're going to get a pick. You're going to get a prediction that offsets this prediction.
What would have to happen, just out of curiosity, for this prediction to come to fruition?
What would have had to have? So this
what would have to happen right now?
Oh, no, I don't think there's anything that would now.
You have to step down.
Yeah. Or like something
You'd have to,
cryptic, which we'd
eternally
going
step
to-
down.
Yeah, but really cryptic. No, this was all based on like how the draft was going to go, how free agency was going to go. So yeah, it would have to be really, really odd now for anything to make this happen.
Okay, I had one thing come off the board. I told you guys C.J. Stroud would be in Chris Sims' top 8 quarterbacks on his 2024 quarterback rankings. By golly. He was number 7.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
We should go through those rankings before the end of the week, because it's interesting what he did with some of the young quarterbacks, where he has Darnold compared to some of the other ones. But yeah, Chris Sims very high on C.J. Stroud, 7th on his, and he ranks like 40 quarterbacks.
Yes.
It's a very thorough exercise. Okay. Listeners, nothing came off the board, so we'll highlight this one. Lauren said TJ Hawkinson will not be available for week 1, which it looks like it's tracking that way, but he will still lead all tight ends in receiving yards. I think the problem with this one is if he doesn't play in week 1, it means he probably doesn't play the first few weeks. Right? Like, is there a scenario where he wouldn't play week 1, but he does play week 2, week 3? And to lead all tight ends in receiving yards, you're going to need a bunch of weeks to rack up stats.
Yeah, I bet he begins the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts the regular season on IR, which I think means 4 games now. So yeah, I don't think he plays till after the bye, and it might be a few games after the bye. So,
okay. And then Declan making these UFL predictions here. You had the Battlehawks and Panthers winning their semifinal games to clash in the UFL championship. And it was the Battlehawks that did not hold up their end of the bargain.
Long year, dead arm for A.J. McCarron. You know, he was playing in the NFL, he was playing in the UFL. It was a long year.
Does he actually have a dead arm? Is that?
No, I'm making that up.
I was going to say,
he said you could argue he's had a dead arm for 15 years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think he threw too many passes in his NFL stints.
He's a grinder, man. I mean, to be sitting out there in the UFL when you're, what is he like? He's like in his late 30s, isn't he? Mid 30s?
Maybe
how old is? Can we Google that? Let's stop the show so we can Google how
33
old is he?
years old.
Okay. Would you still be grinding if you're 33? Like, he's probably made millions as a backup quarterback in the NFL. Would you still be grinding the UFL for like a couple $1,000 a week or whatever they make?
He did say like a big reason he did the UFL stuff was because he did like kids actually got to see him play, you know, because he was just a backup in the NFL.
Well, now I feel like a douche.
Yeah, that's okay.
So they got to see him play in this secondary league.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just put on your Bama film and show the kids.
Hey, kids, let's gather around.
You know what this is? This is a lifer. This guy's going to coach.
How about then he can show, hey, this is your mom, and this was Lee Corso drooling over her
at
the national champion. Or Musburger.
It was Musburger
drooling over her at the national
Lee Corso probably was too.
But also Lee Corso.
Poor Lee. Let's leave Lee alone. It's been a rough few years for Lee.
I'd make another drooling joke, but we can just move on here.
Exactly. Thank you.
Next one. Next page.
Yep, for sure. So with that, here are the statistics. Declan at 48.9% completions on the season. I'm at 38.5. Judd 35.5. Listeners around 33.5. Judd and the listeners with 3 touchdowns apiece leading that category. Declan with 2. I only have 1 touchdown so far. So Declan with a significant lead, although it has dipped below 50% completions. He's gotten a little loosey-goosey with this big lead. I will say that.
Phil's just applying the pressure already.
Well, it was like 55% to 35% at one point, and now his lead has been cut in half. You know, fat cats get slaughtered, as they say.
I'm just like, I'm doubling down, like I'm losing a bunch of hands in blackjack, and I'm anting up even more of the minimum bet just because I can. And so far, it hasn't worked out too well, but we'll see if you get a good hand here.
And then career stats, Declan 37%, career, Judd 35%. I'm at 33.5. Listeners 23%. I have the most touchdowns at 47, but you guys are closing fast in that category. So without further ado, let's get guest listener predictor Andrew in the mix. What's up, Andrew? How you doing today?
What's up, guys? I'm great. Happy to be here.
Is that like an old school Vikings hat? That cursive lettering, or what's the story there?
I found this at US Bank Stadium last year when I was at a game. I was my favorite hat of choice, so it went off the rack pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
Yeah, thank you.
There are some now that are pretty cool, but there are some that I think are way too much. Like, that's just a solid. The thing with the Vikings is their logo and apparel, it's pretty classic. So like that hat is just solid. Like, that's a solid hat. I don't need a lot of stuff.
I also have an all black one with the Vikings logo, but it's blacked out. I usually wear that on Mondays after a loss when I'm kind of sad, but I'm still repping the team. So.
It's your Vikings funeral hat.
It's
basically.
It's your mood. Like like people know. I don't talk to him today. Andrew's in a bad mood.
What is, Andrew? Give us your outlook here. The Vikings have changed directions this spring. They're going young at quarterback, and they're moving forward. Danielle Hunter's gone. What's your outlook for 2024 and maybe even beyond as a fan?
I'm very excited with the direction that this franchise is going in right now. I am certainly tempering my expectations for 2024, and I'm just kind of along for the ride for this year. I know we're developing a quarterback. We have a lot of new guys that are growing up on the defense as well. After that, I'm excited to see what happens in free agency next offseason. We roll into 2025, 26. Let's start winning some games, and let's make a run for the Super Bowl.
Make a run through that tournament is
Perfect
what we're going to do around here.
Perfect. I like it. Well crafted, well honed right there. Along for the ride.
So we're going to start with Andrew. You'll make your first prediction, then Judd over to Dex, back to me. Andrew, you are under center, sir.
Write this down.
Or in shotgun, pistol, whatever formation you prefer.
My first prediction, write this down. Dalton Reisner will appear in a game at a different O-line position than left guard. Now, okay. I've heard you guys were talking about this earlier this week, and I heard this last week as well. He has only played left guard in his professional career. He did play some right guard in college, but that was a number of years ago. Mm-hmm. It sounds like the guard competition is pretty open at this point, and even Ed Ingram's job is not 100% guaranteed. And let's say Ingram does win the job, even if he has to take a play off or two for getting banged up, I think that's when Reisner steps in. So I think he shows up in a game probably at right guard.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. It's funny that we just every year we just immerse ourselves in these guard battles going into training camp. Fans, media, just charting guard snaps. Judge the sports dad out there with his notebook.
It's important. It's important. They got to have the right guards and the left guards.
Yeah. It's a 10-year tradition, though, of us just charting guard activity in the offseason.
All right. For my first, write that down. I'm going to go outside of the Vikings sphere and go league-wide. And I'm going to go to New York, where the Jets are jetsing, where the Jets can't help themselves. Aaron Rodgers has been at the entire offseason program, according to the reports, but he is not attending the mandatory minicamp because he has some mysterious thing that he has to go to or he wants to go to. So he's skipping it, but it's not excused.
It's excused, but kind of, it's not excused, but excused at the same time.
Well, they know he's going. They said they clearly said we'd prefer you didn't go, and he said screw you, and now so he's going to get fined.
Yeah. Well, and sorry, like what Robert Saleh was like, if it's important to him, it's important to us, but it is inexcused.
Yes, exactly. So we are pissed,
okay,
but what's real important. Anyway, long story short, Robert Saleh will be fired either during the season or after it by the Jets. This is not working. And it's not all his fault. The Jets are just a hot mess from the top on down. But I guess they've tried to get guys in to help because it's turned out that Hackett is such a bad OC, despite the fact he's Aaron's guy. I guess he's just a mess. That Denver, so he didn't call plays in Green Bay. And again, a guy that didn't call plays was, hey, this guy's the coordinator du jour, which I don't get, which goes back to Brad Childress in Philadelphia. So then Hackett goes to Denver, and it's a complete mess. And then the Jets are like, we'll take him back. We love him. And now they're like, oh, we're going to get some other people to help him out. And it's just a mess. Saleh gets fired. He takes the fall.
And all they've done is placate to Rodgers. Yeah. They bring in this narcissistic 39-year-old to save their train wreck franchise. They're getting exactly what they deserve here. He's going to go down as one of the biggest underachievement quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Like in terms of his talent, what he's capable of at the peak powers of his football abilities, to have one Super Bowl and basically just be a front runner that look at his like fourth quarter comebacks and game winning drives.
Yep.
It doesn't happen compared to other great quarterbacks. And he is a fraudulent high end quarterback, in my opinion.
And the one place where he is different than Favre is Favre never changed. Favre was a narcissist from the day he was born, and he was like he got older, so he changed his ways. But like how Brett Favre's career went was pretty predictable. Okay, the Packers are jettisoning me. Screw that. I'm going to go to the Vikings. There is a line here, and I don't know exactly when it happened or what, where Aaron Rodgers completely changed as far as his approach to life.
Yeah, I think, and at the core of it is nothing else matters outside of Aaron Rodgers. He will alienate family, friends, teams. He will be the biggest hypocrite on the planet. He literally sat there at a podium a few months ago and told the media and his team and the building anything that has nothing to do with football, like all of the non-football BS, we need to get it out of here. And then you look at him.
Right.
The guy's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Anyways, okay, over to Declan.
Write that down.
There's a little side street there.
All right, write this down. A current UDFA wide receiver on the Vikings roster, or someone not with the organization, will make the Vikings 53-man roster at the wide receiver position.
Okay.
Does this make sense?
Yep. So either a UDFA
that's here,
a UDFA that's currently on the 90-man offseason, or someone that isn't part of the 90-man right now will make the 53, the initial 53 to start the season.
At the wide receiver group.
Okay. Yep, that seems.
Write that down.
In fact, I'm not gonna change this because it is different than yours, but it's in the same spirit. Okay. Write this down. The Vikings will add a wide receiver to their team before week 1 kicks off. Team being the current offseason roster or the 53-man roster between the waiver period and week 1. So like practice squad wouldn't count. So they're gonna add an outside receiver to their current 90-man. It's 90, right, Judd? It's a 90-man.
It's 90. Yes.
Roster.
Yep. Yep. That's what I was going to ask.
Or to the 53, because then they cut down to 53, but you can like grab players off waivers. So they'll add a player to the team, a wide receiver to the team before week 1 kicks off. Not practice squad.
So if they sign a guy on July 16th, like they bring in a guy on July 16th,
who you've never heard of, that's the 10th wide receiver, I still get a point for that. Yes.
Gotcha.
Or if they trade for
nice wording.
T. Higgins, which they probably won't. That'll count too.
You've covered yourself. That's good.
Okay.
Write that down.
I'll make sure. Okay, back to Andrew here for your second prediction.
My second prediction, write this down. Harrison Phillips, Aaron Jones, and Blake Cashman will all be captains for the Vikings in 2024.
Okay.
We lost 3 captains from last year's team. We lost Kirk, Daniil, and Jordan Hicks. I'm predicting that Harrison Phillips, Aaron Jones, and Blake Cashman will wear the C next year.
I like this. This is very good.
I like it too.
I'm a little jealous.
Here's where I want to maybe cover Andrew, because sometimes guys get promoted to captain throughout the season because of injuries. Are you saying, do you want this to be week 1, or do you just like at any point all 3 of these guys will have a captaincy on their jersey?
I'm going to go a little bit bold and say week 1. I think that these are the choices from kind of the training camp meetings.
I think Metellus, when O'Neal got hurt, is the only case where we've had an in-season shift of a C.
Okay.
So I think you're pretty safe there.
Okay.
And I like your predictions. Okay. Jones is a dynamic personality, so I like that one a lot.
And Cashman's kind of a grinder.
Motivation from that, from Jones. He's all over social media content already. He wore the C in Green Bay. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I don't think Darnold or McCarthy are going to wear a C right now. So
no, they don't want to. They're certainly not going to put that pressure on McCarthy, and I don't think they want that pressure on Darnold too. Just come on in here, dude. Just throw the ball around. Don't take sacks.
It's a team vote too. So yeah, you're not going to vote. I don't think McCarthy. Darnold, just because he's going to start at quarterback, might be an outside chance, from his teammates. But yeah, that's a solid one. Like I said, I'm jealous.
Write it down.
Good
You
job.
like writing things down.
Judd, what's your second one?
Wish I had thought of it. As you guys know, I am the tight end whisperer. I brought to you a couple of years back. I went to one OTA, and I came back and said, watch this Johnny Munt. He knows the system. And everybody laughed. They laughed at me. They mocked me. They ridiculed me. And sure enough, Johnny Munt is the best third tight end in the National Football League. So write this down.
That's true, yeah.
Robert Tonyan will catch at least 1 touchdown pass in the first 2 games of the 2024 regular season.
I love that one too.
Robert Tonyan, my tight end spidey senses are back. They're honed, and he is going to catch a touchdown pass. I just think, as we talked about with Doogie, I think he makes the team, and I think he has an early impact. And I'm not going to hold the Bears' experience against him as much as some do, because I think the Bears were a mess.
So I have a personnel question off this. Assuming Hawkinson doesn't play for the first few weeks, and how top heavy they are at wide receivers. You got Jefferson and Addison. Those are going to be by far your most targeted weapons, I'm sure. because they ran more 12 personnel last year than the previous year, which is extra tight end. It's 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, and a running back. And I think they wanted to run more of it than they did, but it just didn't work out that way. Without Hawkinson available, do you think they're gonna lean more on 3 wide receiver sets or 2 tight end sets, like between the 20s early on? Because they don't have, like, I don't know if Tunyon's going to be out there a lot. I don't think he's going to be like a 55 snap guy, you know?
I hear you. You know what? The reason why they would run 2 tight end sets more than we expect is if they are going to, again, and I think with Jones it's going to change, if they're going to be intent on establishing the run game more. So I could see cases where there's 2 tight ends, but it is purely for blocking. And I still think the 3rd receiver thing has to play itself out. I'm just not. Brandon Powell's going to make the team. I'm just not convinced he's going to start the season as the 3. And I don't know if your prediction, Phil, is going to come true, or if, as Declan said, a guy's going to merge or what. Mm-hmm. But I think how that plays out will very much play a role in the ultimate answer to your question. But yeah, I think Hawkinson's out for like 6 games. So
yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Write this down.
The Dexter with his new Twin City Connect hat. Look at that.
By the way, so I bought this. They have the pop-up shops like around Target Field. Obviously, they have the official team store that's on the lower level, and then there's a couple of the smaller ones kind of scattered throughout the stadium. And this one I bought. There's one that's right in the Thriving Club, formerly known as the Legends Club.
It's the Legends Club.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to abide by like the changing of the sponsorship name every single year.
I still call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X or whatever. It's Twitter. So this one was in the Legends Club right behind the press box, and I bought this hat kind of like right before gates opened, and the lady said, "You're the first person to buy this hat."
Oh, really?
And I said, "Cool, do I get anything? Like, do I? And he's like, "Oh, no." I was like, "Well, I don't think I even needed to know that then. Like, if I'm the first person to get it, do I get like some type, maybe my
You thought you were going to get something for being the first person to get the hat?
I thought I wanted something more than just being the first guy to get the hat.
But you're the first guy. But you're the first person to buy the hat from the pop-up station. I'm guessing
correct.
I'm guessing the retail store downstairs. So like you were probably like the 50th person to buy a hat. So who cares?
But at that point, don't even tell me. Like I don't need to know that then. At that point,
just being nice.
That's my point.
Poor lady's beginning a long.
I feel like this is a little bit of a sociopathic reaction by Declan here.
That's fine.
To be annoyed that someone acknowledged you and then to want something from them out of the interaction.
I think that's normal.
Write this down.
I think that's completely reasonable. I'm going to trust my sports dad here in my second prediction.
That's a mistake.
Ryan Wright will not make the 53-man roster.
Ooh.
I know he had some observations about maybe Ryan, or his first mock roster prediction earlier this week, saying he would not make the 53. I will buy this. Ryan Wright will not be on the Vikings 53-man roster. Write it down.
All right.
So Declan and I are kind of tracking similarly here.
Write this down.
Because I have included a punter item in a 3-item preseason parlay that I'm going to give you guys here. So they have three preseason games. So at any point in the preseason, I'm looking for these 3 things to hit. Number 1, an Andre Carter sack. Number 2, a Dwayne McBride touchdown. And number 3, a Seth Vernon pinning an opponent inside the 10-yard line punt. So he's the backup punter that's competing. Mm-hmm. So anytime in the preseason, Andre Carter sack, Dwayne McBride touchdown, Seth Vernon pins an opponent inside the 10. Write it down. 6'5" punter. At the very least, tight end. If you lined up every punter in the NFL based on like who would you want in a fight, if you put all 32 punters in an octagon, I would take the 6'5", 230-pound punter the Vikings have.
He is. You could run a trick play where he takes a snap and potentially dishes the ball off, goes out in a pattern.
Can he catch? Yeah.
Well, he's built like a tight end. Somebody told me, and I couldn't confirm it, that he did play a position in college that was not special teams punting. So I'm just saying.
Here's my questions. On Vikings.com, you can sort the roster by height.
Yep.
So do they have any pass catchers taller than their backup punter? I mean, I'm telling you, you're onto something here. Could you, if you brought him on the team
And
as
they
your
love
punter,
to run trick plays.
could you run a couple trick plays?
They love to mess around with punters. Like we've seen it
and he'd be the
before.
holder too, right? On any sort of field goal attempt.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He'd be your holder, so he could easily he could get out in some sort of. So yeah, right now
Matt Daniels.
The tallest pass catchers on the team are Robert Tonyan, 6'5", Josh Oliver, 6'5", Nick Muse is also 6'5", Hawkinson technically 6'5". So all of your tight ends are 6'5", but so is Seth Vernon, your backup punter.
Yep.
You wouldn't even be able to tell if he grew his hair out. You wouldn't even know if it's Hawkinson or Seth Vernon.
I love what you're talking about right here.
Write this down.
Football season.
He's got darker hair though. Anyways, let's go back to Andrew for your third and final prediction.
All right. This will be my touchdown throw here. J.J. McCarthy will make his first start in Week 9 at home against the Colts.
Okay.
There's a few reasons that I think this. Week 8 is the Thursday night game against the Rams. And so because we're playing the week before on Thursday, we're getting that week and a half of preparation before we go into Week 9, which lends itself favorable to putting a rookie into the system. After that game, the Indy game, we have 3 consecutive road games, but they're not necessarily terribly difficult teams or environments. We're going to Jacksonville, Tennessee, and then Chicago. And then after that, 4 of the last 6 games in December and January are at home as well. So I think it's really setting up for an optimal environment for him to get started. Unfortunately, I don't think our record is going to be great after the first half of the season, if I'm being honest. And I also think that Week 9 is probably a time when it makes sense for JJ to take the reins. So November 3rd, 2024, mark your calendars. We're watching JJ McCarthy.
Okay. Andrew coming in. He's got the date that JJ McCarthy is going to start. He's got the captains before Judd even thought about the captains.
Yeah, I just really dropped the ball there.
Coming in hot here. So, Andrew, since you've got this life-changing platform right now on Purple Daily, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that helped get you to this moment?
Well, first off, I'm very thankful for my girlfriend who is a Seahawks fan, but she comes to Vikings games with me and watches Red Zone on Sundays. So I appreciate her support. And also the online Vikings fan presence. I love engaging with fans on Twitter. Shout out Skull Gang. And I don't live in Minnesota anymore. I live in Utah. So it's hard to kind of stay in touch with a lot of Vikings fans. And I find the best way to do that is through online platforms. And also thank you guys for the content that you make, even in the middle of June. I'm still listening, and I'm sure a lot of people are. So thank you again.
Awesome, man. Thank you for the kind words. Great job with your predictions, and we'll see you again sometime, Andrew.
All right. Thank you.
Nice work.
There he is, guest listener, predictor, Andrew. We're going to buzz through the rest of our predictions here in a second after we shout out our friends at EcoFun. So if you're looking for summertime fun, maybe even a summertime fun headquarters, EcoFun Motorsports is the place. So scooters, motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, electric bikes, and as you see on your YouTube screen here at the Forest Lake location, watercraft, a full line of 2024 Kawasaki and Yamaha watercrafts. We actually filmed this B-roll in Judd's backyard here. He has a pond, as you see. And
it's more than a pond.
This is him with his family, the sports dad.
A boat, it looks like.
Just running around those western suburb bodies of water. But 2 store locations for EcoFun Motorsports. Forest Lake, where you can find the watercraft, and Burnsville in the South Metro. EcoFunMotorsports.com. Tell them Purple Daily and or Score North sent you in. And a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Business owners out there, and we know we've heard from business owners who consume this show. We appreciate you. Make sure you have a game plan in place to stay focused on safety and preventing claims. Let the team at Federated come in and support your business in that regard. Federated, they've been around since 1904, based in Owatonna, Minnesota, and they offer a customizable lineup of industry-specific coverages and risk management services to help you continue your winning streak. Federated Mutual Insurance Company, where it's our business to protect yours. You can find out more at federatedinsurance.com.
Write this down.
Okay.
Write that down.
Judd.
Third and final prediction. Andrew Van Ginkel will begin training camp on a reserve list. Off the record, I think it'll be the pup, because you can come off the pup at that point at any time, but it doesn't, then you don't count against the 53. But we talked for a while about the fact he is dealing with what was reported in very few places, but was reported as a Liz Frank, which is not something that you rush back from. I mean, it's not something that you are careless with. So I think he begins training camp on a reserve list.
Yeah, that's been kind of a mysterious 3-month period here since they brought him on board.
I think it's why the contract might have been a little bit less than some expected. And it's weird, though. If you Google the injury, he got hurt in the last regular season game. I think it was against Buffalo. And there's just reports that it was a foot. And then it's like, oh, he might be back. Well, he won't be back for the playoffs, but, he'll be fine to go for at first they said the off-season workouts. But you can find like one or two reports that it was a Liz Frank. That's not a you just come back from it. That takes some time. So I think the Vikings are being and will be extra cautious with him.
Okay. Declan, what is your
Write that down.
third and final prediction?
All right, I asked Judd about this too during his 53-man projection. We actually talked about this guy a lot too on Purple Daily on Draft, which you can find on this channel and on the podcast feed. So write this down. Dwight McCloughan will make the 53-man roster. I think he steals a cornerback spot. Dwight McCloughan will make the 53-man roster. Write it down.
Do Miles or Tyler think that he's making the 53 too?
Forno thinks he has a good shot. He's got a good shot to make it. Yeah.
It's weird because they don't have a super high-end corner in the room that you would say is a Xavier Rhodes from 8 years ago. But they also don't have there's like 5 or 6 guys that are, as Judd laid out, pretty well solidified, with Andrew Booth being on the outside looking in even as a former second-round pick. So they would have to make a tough decision on like a Caleb Evans or like do they cut Shaq Griffin or something because he's unimpressive during training camp?
Yeah. I think Shaq Griffin has a locked-in spot. Yeah. Like it looks to be legit there. But yeah, I think the one. So I think Booth gets cut. I think if what Declan says, I think Evans might be in jeopardy, which I predicted he'll make it. But I think that would be the next one in jeopardy.
Yeah, because he's had the injury concussion stuff, and
his second half was rough. He's been hurt. To your point, his second half was difficult. He wasn't drafted by Flores. Like I think,
but he was by Kwesi, who's making the 53 decisions.
Well, they might just. I mean,
you might wind up cutting like your 3 of your top 4 or your first 4 picks from that.
That's what I was about to say. There's a chance that they might just basically go sunk cost and jettison most of the draft class by the time the season starts.
That would be wild. I mean, but Asamoah is the one that Asamoah and a Caleb Evans have a better chance to make this 53 than Scene and Booth.
Yes.
But those guys also, like, especially Asamoah, barring injury, is not playing in the base defense or even the nickel defense.
Special teams guy.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Scene is I don't know what he does. Like,
what would you say?
He's not a special teams guy, really. So yes, Asamoah would make the team as a special teams guy. But if you think about Kwesi's background, you could make a case, and it would hurt his pride a lot, or it would hurt his ego a lot, but you could make a case that they could convince him, or he could convince himself, that the sunk cost philosophy works.
Yeah, well,
because that's his background,
and it would be the right if you decided that these guys aren't as good as McCloughan or what have you, then you should make that decision. Or if you're worried that we like this player. Right. We don't think we can sneak him through the practice squad.
Right.
But man, we need to cling to Lewis Scene because he was a first-round pick. Like, you should make a decision based on the current circumstances, not the draft stock from 2 years ago.
If Brian Flores knocks on my door and tells me what's what about defense, who am I to debate him?
Yeah. What's Donatel doing these days, by the way? Does he have a job? Or is he retired? Did he retire?
I think he just retired.
Consulting anyway?
Because he stole from the Vikings for a year.
Okay, my final prediction. Write this down.
Write that down.
J.J. McCarthy will lead the Vikings to points on his first preseason drive. I don't know what those points are going to be. Could be a touchdown.
You're all in on the preseason games. I like it.
Could be a field goal. Well, yeah, they start in a couple months. Just getting some preseason predictions out there.
I like it.
I just think the leadership, the guile, the moxie of J.J. McCarthy will lead the Vikings to points on his first preseason drive.
Okay.
Whenever that is. Write that down. So there you have it. We should also shout out our friends at Nicolay Law, too. Nicolay Law is the exclusive, reigning, defending, personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. Nicolay Law knows that when you or a loved one gets hurt, ordinary life can come to a stop. Things can get complicated. That's where Nicolay Law comes in. They're just normal, everyday folks who live in and around the Twin Cities area that happen to have law degrees to get you the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay. You see, in fact, the video we play on the YouTube channel, you see he's a huge Purple fan. He's just roaming around in a suit and tie inside that stadium, waiting to help you get that compensation you deserve. Start your path to winning at nicolaylaw.com or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. We hope to have a second episode of Purple Daily today. We expect to, and it will involve a special guest. So we're very excited about that. So keep an eye out in your Purple Daily podcast feeds, your Purple Daily YouTube channel. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. And you could also help us grow the show by giving us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. This is Daily Vikings Entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.